If you're black, you go through this gate, and if you're white, you go through this other gate.
Should you be found as a black person using the white entrance, you would be jailed. Not the other way around, of course.
And if you're going to ask me, where am I going to go through?
Here, your skin color determines how you're treated, what kind of job you get, and even where you live. Let me show you this neighborhood. White people live on the right side, it is called Strand, while black people live on the left side, it is called Nomzamo.
It's only this one line
that separates everything.
Yes.
They are separated just by a tiny fence.
In this country,
Yeah.
segregation is the theme. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, you face the direction, it's the middle class community. Across the road is the upper class community.
Well, I think it's atrocious. Yes,
rich
you
are
have
super
the
rich.
super wealthy and you've got the super poor.
Income disparity is common in a lot of countries today. I was in California and I saw the rich, luxurious neighborhoods of Beverly Hills and how the poor live in worse areas like Skid Row. I saw the same in Madagascar, the rich versus the poor, divided by a tiny fence. Even in my country, Nigeria, it exists in scale. But here in South Africa, it seems very obvious. It is not just in this neighborhood, but all around the country. The yellow dots you see on the map are where minority white population live. It is where the most luxurious mansions are located. Highly paid jobs and opportunities are concentrated on the yellow dot, and most of the homes are by the sea. Now compare that to the black dot, where the majority black South Africans live, often isolated from the wealthier areas.
Guys, Khayelitsha, I was warned not to come here.
There have even been talks of building a high wall.
180 million rand security wall along the N2 near the airport.
Which, in case you don't know, is actually nicknamed the How Run because motorists are often targeted by criminals here.
The wall is a way of hiding poverty rather than solving the root causes of crime.
And the reason for this, it goes way back to the apartheid era.
A system introduced in the late 1940s, and its main objective was to empower only one race in this country.
But the apartheid in this country doesn't exist anymore because the citizens fought against it. But if that is true, why do places like this still exist? At the end of apartheid, some white neighborhoods remained up until today.
ORANIA is a whites-only town. Black people cannot live or work here. Every job is reserved for the whites.
You are creating a new territory within South Africa.
Afrikaner territory. Yes,
that's
very
what
much
you're
so.
doing.
So I visited to uncover the story of the world's most unequal country.
But hold on, before we continue, guys, I want you to look below this video. You're going to see a button that says subscribe. Yes, as simple as it is, over 70% of you guys, you watch our videos and you do not subscribe. Okay, so just go ahead and confirm if you are subscribed. If you are not, just click the button. It is free. It motivates us. It shows that you appreciate the kind of content we do, and you help us reach our goal quicker, which is crushing 1 million subscribers this year. Okay, so take a second and subscribe because we have a very interesting episode ahead of you and more episodes like this. So if you also subscribe, you don't get to miss those episodes. Okay, so let's dive right back into it.
Welcome to South Africa, located far south on the African continent, home to the richest square mile in Africa called Sandton, luxurious neighborhoods with a booming gold and diamond industry. I also visited Cape Town, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. But this country is one of the most unequal too. If you look it up, reports from organizations like the World Bank constantly rank South Africa as one of the most unequal countries in the world today, often placing it first of more than 160 countries of the world, meaning the gap between the rich and the poor here is one of the biggest anywhere else.
The reason why we're the worst in the world when it comes to inequality, in 1913 in this country, the British introduced what is known as the 1913 Land Act. With the Land Act, it just meant that 80% of South Africa belonged to white people when they didn't even make 5% of the population. So we are stuck with that even today.
The circumstances is not that great. 40% of the Cape Townian population lives below the breadline. It's called the Cape Flats. You have the super wealthy from Camps Bay where you have a 300,000 a month kind of lifestyle. So I think it's atrocious.
South Africa was occupied and colonized by Britain and the Dutch till 1994.
Most of the African people joined the British, believing that after the war, if the British can win, we're gonna gain freedom. The British won the war, but after winning the war, they turned South Africans to be slaves. Death in exile, executions, and all those, the massacres and the raids, you find them on this wall.
These two colonial powers shaped everything from land ownership patterns to racial hierarchy and economic inequality. The term apartheid became globally known when it was used as the official system that enforced racial segregation in South Africa from 1948. The word apartheid comes from the Afrikaans language. It means division, apart, to separate. This was their version of governance. It worked by classifying citizens into 4 racial groups:
whites, coloreds, blacks, and Indians. The whites were supposed to be the intellectuals. The coloreds were supposed to be the administrative task.
Yeah.
The Indians were the commercials, and the blacks were the physical force, were the big losers of the time. That's what the word apartheid means, living in parallel.
Enforcing strict rules on where people could live, work, go to school, or even travel based on your skin color.
The whole idea was to remove as many black people away from the city, have them commuting to come to the city. Don't have them close because white people would be swamped.
Black South Africans were forced into undeveloped areas called townships. Those townships still exist till today. We would visit a few of them. But how did it end?
We are going to use all forms necessary to get our freedom in South Africa.
When apartheid was abolished in this country, it wasn't because there was this sudden love for black people. It was abolished because it wasn't good for the economy.
Oh, yeah?
With the sanctions, no country in the world wanted to buy South African gold, South African diamonds, so they were pressed to abolish apartheid.
After 30 years of external pressure from international communities, it weakened the system, forcing the government to abolish this racist form of governance.
It was fully abolished on a 10th May 1994. An announcement was made. This is how the Nelson Mandela's release came about.
In 1994, when South Africa held its first democratic election, Nelson Mandela won and became the first democratic president. A 30-minute boat ride from Cape Town, I arrived Robben Island. A small island near Cape Town used as a prison for those who opposed the apartheid government. It is far from mainland Cape Town, surrounded by cold ocean waters, so escaping was nearly impossible. This is where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for 27 years. This is his prison cell. He was in prison for his role in the fight against apartheid.
This is the Casper. This is the vehicle that was used to arrest as many anti-apartheid activists as possible. It was never found in any of the land minings. This was found in townships, arresting as many anti-apartheid as possible.
His release in 1990 marked a turning point in South Africa's journey towards democracy.
I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of you.
So today, racism is not by law, but by certain individuals.
So you believe it still exists some way, somehow?
Well, in some individuals, yes, it does, but not by law. You see, apartheid racism, it's what it promoted.
It has been 30 years since apartheid ended, but as I traveled around South Africa, I still noticed the stark contrast: wealth on one side, poverty on the other. I drove north and arrived at a self-sustaining city called ORANIA, a town where only white people live. As a black South African, you're unwelcome here.
Have you ever sold property to anyone who is not African speaking?
In ORANIA?
Yes.
No, it's for Afrikaners. It's not for anybody else, and that's why only Afrikaners live in ORANIA. Yeah.
The fact that you say it's only the Afrikaans people that can live here, a lot of people would not understand that concept because it is still in South Africa, and I believe you have a South African passport, do you?
Yes, I do.
One thing I like about South Africa compared to other European countries that I've seen in my life is because in other countries they are quite easy when it comes to dealing with racism.
Yeah.
In this country, it's seen as normal. Racism is in your face.
There's not two solutions for South Africa. It's not either go back to apartheid or either be forcefully integrated. What ORANIA is doing is we are creating a third option, during which we say we don't have to be forcefully integrated, but we also do not have to have a dominant culture in South Africa which rules over others.
You are creating a new territory within South Africa.
Afrikaner territory, yes,
Yeah, that's
very
what
much
you're
so.
doing.
Yes, yes.
And
yes.
I feel like that is against the healing process for the people of South Africa. Let me
No
ask
problem.
you, if you had your way to make ORANIA its own country, would you contribute to that?
Yes, I think it would be nice, not only for ORANIA, but also
For all the
for
groups.
all the various groups in South Africa.
That makes it wrong. Because the way
you decide for a lot of Zulus, sorry, you're not allowed to be Zulu.
No,
You decide
I'm not
for a
saying
lot
you're
of
not. I'm not saying
vendors,
it is.
you're not
It is
allowed to be
nice.
vendor.
It is nice to have different culture that exists within a country.
Yeah.
That shouldn't separate you. That is diversity. But everybody can live together in the
Yeah.
same community in
Yeah.
peace and harmony.
I guess the idea of separation didn't fully disappear in this place, even after apartheid ended.
Now, there's so many different cultures in South Africa that want to be represented, that want to have their own monuments, their own holidays, their own culture be represented in the cities and in the towns that they live. Now, what ORANIA has done is we said that we will remove ourselves, we will place that cultural Afrikaner territory, we'll take the responsibility of that for ourselves. We do not expect the government necessarily to build Afrikaans schools for us. We'll take that responsibility, and that's why we will roll up our
So all
sleeves
of
and
these
do it.
people here represent ORANIA.
They represent our history. That's what they represent.
It was founded through the influence of Hendrik Verwoerd, the main architect of apartheid. His statue stands strong within the community.
So what happened with Hendrik Verwoerd is the segregation policies of apartheid was, and he's known as the architect of apartheid, right? But cheap black labor and labor exploitation and race exploitation and cultural exploitation was a long time coming before this guy took up the presidency. It came from the British all the way from 1910. What Hendrik Verwoerd actually did was he structurized it and he gave a name to it. But he has done many more things.
Terrible things, you mean?
Well, he has done good things as well.
They have their own flag, their own currency.
Does the South African Constitution allow you guys to do this?
Yes, yes.
They have their own government,
And of course, we have our own airstrip here in ORANIA.
hospitals, banks, power plants.
Right here in ORANIA, we have our own private security company where we provide security for ORANIans.
And only hire labor from within the community.
Okay, in ORANIA we're building a city, so we have our own construction company, and here you can see them in practice building, putting up a new building. Yeah.
Even though this community is exclusive for you guys and it's only African people that are allowed to live here, would you ever consider like black South Africans that want to get a job here, even though they don't live here, they just want to work for the construction company and they have the expertise, they have the skill set to contribute to this project? Would you think you would allow them work here?
We say this is an Afrikaner town, an Afrikaner community town. So we cannot say this is an Afrikaner town if we as Afrikaners did not build it ourselves.
So which means it is a no?
Yeah, no for now.
Women here can only marry from within the community as well.
Can you date a black South African?
My community
Would not accept him.
I don't think some of the people in the community won't accept.
Automatically means you will not accept him because the community would not accept him.
You know, as
mean,
somebody
yeah.
who has traveled and seen so many spaces also around the world, I've realized that whatever is happening in South Africa is not normal.
No,
you
like-
get your Indians only community, your whites only community,
okay.
and we treat it like it's normal. It's not, you know.
Yeah.
I believe that it's very much possible for us to achieve Dr. Nelson Mandela's dream, which was a rainbow nation, you know.
This place feels like a reminder of the past in a country still trying to move forward. Places like this raises a difficult question. Has South Africa truly moved on, or has separation simply taken a new form?
All right, a quick break to shout out to the sponsors of today's video, which is Odoo, right? An all-in-one platform that makes running your business easier by bringing all of your operations in one place. Odoo has been a long-time sponsor of our content. In previous episodes, I've showed you a few Odoo apps like Odoo Invoicing and e-commerce. But this time, I want you to experience Odoo live and in person. Our beloved continent got to host the World Cup in 2010, and it was one for the books. And for the first time, one of the biggest business tech and conference in the world is coming to Africa, just like the World Cup. And it's happening in Nairobi, Kenya on the 3rd and 4th of September 2026. This is one of the biggest get-together for business people where entrepreneurs, business owners, developers, and creators come together to unbox new Odoo features and witness how real companies are growing, scaling, and making money using Odoo. Imagine 2 days of live product demos, exhibition from a wide range of industry players, workshops and training sessions, and most importantly, the opportunity to meet with people who are actually building things across the continent. If you're currently working on something huge, this might be the place where you might meet your investor or co-founder or talent for real. There would also be a proper Odoo after party because work with no play makes Jack a dull boy. This event usually would take place in Odoo's headquarters in Brussels, but this year is happening live in Nairobi, Kenya. And the best part, the premium pass is only $100 and it comes with the full experience. 2 days, all access, full board catering and complimentary for the after party. If you're serious about business and technology, this is one of those rooms you want to be in. So click the link in the description or scan this QR code on the screen to secure your ticket early, and I will see you in Nairobi, Kenya.
Even in the urban areas, this separation is very visible. This is just one of the many visible areas. There are many places like this all around the country. But the people on each side live very different lives.
So when you zoom in, here it shows you that that's Nomzamo and then that's Strand. Right, so that part you saw, there's like leafy green houses.
Yeah.
That's like, that's where Strand is, and then on the other side, this whole community here, it's called Nomzamo.
The rich live on the right side called Strand. They have backyards and driveways, while Nomzamo is much more dense and the people have fewer basic services.
Usually you're going to find a lot of black people live on the other side, which is the Nomzamo, and then obviously the rich, which is mostly white, live in Strand. And you're going to find places like this all around South Africa.
But why is it still this way? Let us visit a township to find answers. My host in Khayelitsha requested I put the police station as my destination on Uber. You'll find out why in a bit.
So right now, if you come out here, you could be robbed. I don't know.
Might be lucky.
Is he the one?
You know why I wanted you to request with police station?
Why?
If we didn't write police station, then we'll never take you to here.
Oh, right.
We won't get a ride. So I decided if I say police station, what they do, they will come and then I will be standing. So when you say 2 minutes, I stand here in front. But now I can see from the back. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people are really scared and I won't blame them.
What does it say for me to hold my camera here?
In the township, ne?
Yeah.
It's safe when you're with a local, someone from here like me.
This neighborhood is often associated with theft, gun violence, drug and gang-related activities.
In this community of ours, it's a community that has recently been having a lot of crime that has been taking place.
I was scared coming here as a foreigner.
I feel safe now. I feel safe.
Feel safe. He's with me, guys. Feel safe. Please.
No, because I told her, she was like, you're going to the police station. You'll be robbed in the police station.
No, man. No, she's lying.
That's what she told me.
People are just take what they get from Google, and if you never stay in our township, you'll never know our township. Let us tell you about it.
All right.
What is killing our nation is this thing that they smoke, man.
Yeah.
People when they people of humanity, but once they start smoking, humanity is gone.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's these drugs that you need to blame those.
Do people take a lot of drugs here in Khayelitsha?
Too much. There's a lot, and it's killing our
the young people.
It's sad to see.
Because when you think about it, when you don't have a job, you don't have money, like your only resort is to take those things. Makes you relax, makes you forget about the reality of life.
But it is really killing a lot
of people.
Yeah.
And the Siwe is one of the well-known figures within the community. She's a dance instructor of a famous band which started here in Khayelitsha.
Some will say that's the street of Khayelitsha to the world. And we are that light, that the light starts within us. And we share the light to the world with our music, dance. The choir started by myself in 2003. Back then I was 17. And I won't lie and say I had an aim. I was just a teenager trying to do something. But as time goes on, I can see this thing developing to something meaningful, something that can change my society.
She's also a philanthropist. She feeds children who can afford food in this township.
Khayelitsha.
So what's the name of this meal?
No, I think it's a stew. It's a normal stew.
Soup.
Yeah.
Just a way to, give back to the people of Khayelitsha. So you can see this queue is going to be extending all the way to the back. You're going to have people that are probably working, maybe they have like it's lunch break, they're going to come here on a Tuesday to eat. And also kids that just came back from school, they're hungry, they're also going to come here to eat. It's actually very inspiring to see one person pioneering such change here.
It's time to eat!
What is this called?
This is just a normal beef stew.
Oh, okay.
Mix the veg, onion, rice, just to give nutrition and some.
You see, during apartheid, entire communities were pushed out of the city. Many of the blacks moved into townships far away from the city. And one of those townships is this neighborhood of Khayelitsha. Opportunities aren't the same like in the rich white neighborhoods. You can't miss it, especially when you drive on the N2 highway. This is usually the first thing visitors see when arriving the city of Cape Town. This is why many black South Africans are of the opinion the government is trying to build a wall to shield tourists from seeing the stark reality of inequality.
Our city of Cape Town is defending one of its most divisive proposals, a 180 million rand security wall along the N2 near the airport. The city argues this is a critical safety measure, but for some communities, the wall is a way of hiding poverty rather than solving the root causes of crime.
When I came here to Khayelitsha, I didn't just see poverty. I saw a neighborhood whose residents live in fear because of crime.
Deadly shootings in the area which left 11 people dead and several others seriously injured.
So do you feel a time would come where you'd have to leave Khayelitsha?
Yes, but I'll never stop working in Khayelitsha. If I work enough, I deserve to be rewarded. I deserve to reward myself.
Yeah.
When I get this booking and stay in a hotel, I write new songs, because it's peaceful. I can write 10 new songs because my mind is clear. But I will never stop working in my township for my people. Or even if someone can say, and this way, you've done enough, which is, the world owns me that. This is the house in Camps Bay. I will stay in Camps Bay. Obviously, I want my kids.
You're not going to come here anymore when you live in Camps Bay.
I'll come and work. I will come and work. Remember, I was in Netherlands.
Yeah.
And I was getting paid very well. But I still came back. But I felt that they need me for entertainment, but my township needs me more.
Just a short drive away, I found myself in a completely different world. Clifton, Bantry Bay, Camps Bay on the Atlantic seaboard, a place known as the Billionaire Coastline. It is the most expensive coastline in Africa. Here you get to see the most expensive street on the continent, and the homes look like something out of a movie.
But yeah, you can see the kind of houses that are here. They all are sitting on the cliff. Let's have an idea of the kind of people that buy properties in this location.
It's a variety of people, as it is everywhere, right? But the majority of people that own here are investors. A lot of internationals. I mean, it's difficult for the locals to actually keep up with the property prices in this area, particularly because it is such an international destination. It thrives.
So what makes it an international destination?
Well, firstly, you've got the western aspect, so you're getting the sunsets. Okay? These 4 beaches here run from Clifton first beach, second beach, third beach, fourth beach. You've got this amazing backdrop and Camps Bay just neighboring it, Clifton. On the hill, you've got these absolutely exquisite villas. The one on the left of that curvy structured one was sold by my colleague at Remax this year for over 170 million rand. Yes!
Walking around this side of the city, I could smell and see wealth at a level so high the locals can't even afford it. I'm talking about 10-bedroom mansions with state-of-the-art security system, some costing more than $10 million, like this home we visited and toured.
10 bedrooms?
Yeah, we've got a pool here, a spa jacuzzi, and below us on the other tier of the garden, there's another spa jacuzzi and a fireplace. It's got all the amenities, the whole shaboodle.
Most of these homes here are owned mostly by foreigners, especially Europeans. For many South Africans, these neighborhoods are no longer places they can realistically live in. They have been priced out of their own coastline. But it is not just in the city of Cape Town. After a 2-hour flight, I arrived Johannesburg, known as the City of Gold.
Home to Africa's richest square mile.
Here you would find the famous 150 square kilometers area called Sandton, known as the richest square mile in Africa because it concentrates an extraordinary amount of wealth, business power and high-end real estate in a small area. But just about 2 kilometers away, you'd find a township of Alexander where majority black people live.
Did you grow up there in Alex?
Yeah.
How was life for you growing up there?
When you are in any township or in most townships, you grew up in a bubble, right? And for me back then, technology wasn't as like it is now. So there wasn't too much moments for comparison. It wasn't too bad then, but like now I can imagine you're able to see even just on your phone how other people are living just next door.
Yeah.
So it's not the same.
Let us visit a township of Soweto, a place that played a crucial role in the fight against apartheid.
So obviously in my early 20s, I realized that our history was never taught in schools. Our history, we were always taught European history, American history, but never our history.
Yeah.
And every time they would talk about our history, they would just be quick to mention Shaka Zulu, and he was portrayed as a barbaric leader instead of a nation builder. Even the like of your Dr. Nelson Mandela, there was once a time when he was labeled a terrorist. Yeah.
Jazz will be taking me around the township. He has lived here all his life.
40 townships make Soweto, and we don't all live the same lives. You could have the upper class community here. Cross the road is the middle class community. Cross another one, you have those that live in appalling conditions, not because they're lazy, but due to our history.
Well, let me ask you, how safe is it here in Soweto? Because when people hear township, the first thing that comes to mind is you're going to get robbed.
In Scandinavian countries, as soon as you land, they tell you be careful of pickpocketing, you know?
Yeah.
And then you realize that crime doesn't just wear blackface, you know? So any other space could be dangerous, but I would tell you that Soweto has a strong sense of community. We don't believe that much in the police force. Well, they still wear the same uniform they wore when black people were oppressed. So that uniform doesn't scream protect and serve to us black people, screams run away. But to white people it does, it makes them feel safe. So in Soweto we have a way of dealing with crime. If you steal from me, you've stolen from the whole community.
All right.
The community comes together. We call it's known as mob justice, you know. I don't condone it, but it does the job. And also we have a very high unemployment rate.
Here in Soweto?
In Soweto alone, the government tells us it's 35%. But we the locals know it's more than that. You come to Soweto during the week, weekend, it all feels the same. And I would tell you it's mostly the youth that is unemployed. Can you imagine there was a time in this country when it was illegal as a black person to be unemployed? What made the apartheid government what it was is because they knew that an idling mind is a dangerous mind.
100%.
So when people are employed, they don't have time for crime. They don't have even time to fight for their rights. They don't have time for anything.
They're just clocking in and clocking out.
Yeah, but today with the high unemployment rate, it's sad. In Soweto, my neighbor is too close to me. So in the high-end suburbs, your neighbor is a little bit far away, you know. You have space for your swimming pools, your whatnot, you know.
This is Nelson Mandela's home in the township of Soweto.
Like he said it himself, it was the opposite of grand, the opposite of a mansion, but it was his pride, it was his first house. And yes, behind us here is the iconic Orlando Towers. It is the apartheid which is still visible in our eyes. And the reason why I say this, these were built in the 1930s, finished in the 1950s, but understand that they were not supplying Soweto with electricity. They were supplying north of Johannesburg with electricity, white people to be specific, and how we benefited from this structure was just the air pollution.
Across the country, that frustration sometimes shows up in difficult and sensitive ways. Tension towards foreign nationals, a movement known as xenophobia.
When is xenophobia? You say our people must go. What about the Chinese? What about the Indians? And what about the white people? Eastern Europe, everything. What about them? Let's chase them before, then we can chase the Africans.
Viral moments have been captured online and in real life. You'll see protests and confrontations of black South Africans being hostile to other Africans living and working in South Africa. insisting they should go back to their country.
Which country do you come from?
I'm from Congo.
We don't have time to reason with foreigners. Leave, my guy. Let's go out. No. Let's go out. Shush. Leave.
You will never hear the Irish having a discussion with black people talking about how much they hate the English.
They claim other Africans are taking their jobs, housing, limited resources, and causing chaos in South Africa.
Most of the crime is done by whites.
Here in South Africa. But crime wears a black face. I will tell you, you go to the prisons, they are filled with black people. The prisons.
So it's the same in America.
But a black man can go to prison for stealing cheese, for stealing a bicycle, when somebody that stole land is still roaming around and enjoying that piece of land.
Yeah, even the tourism, everything they still own. Yeah, the ANC fucked up. This government of Mandela fucked up.
We are fixing this continent. This thing of you guys moving from one country to the other, it's no longer working. We don't want this as African people anymore. We are tired of seeing African migrants moving all over the world, refusing to fix your own countries. Now we're making it very clear to you guys, Utitina, we don't want you here.
This is a reflection of deeper economic pressure, because in a system still shaped by inequality, competition for opportunity can feel intense.
Let me tell you, there was a meeting under the bridge. You know about that meeting in Pretoria? And the last meeting where they sold us out was in Senegal, 1994. Google about that shit. Because they said, we're going to give you political power. And then they take the economic power. So...
But I want to ask you, like this whole xenophobia thing, do you feel there's a good side and a bad side to it?
This thing was orchestrated. Right. So that is why they didn't want us to mix with our African brothers. You see, you go to town, you go to the foreigners, they live in flats and whatever. As we fought, you find out now we live in the shacks. So the focus it's on these people that, hey, these people are taking everything in our countries. Hence I say, what about these shit white people and the Indians and the Chinese? You understand? It's orchestrated, this thing.
I came to South Africa expecting beauty, and I found it, but I also found something deeper. A country still living in the blueprints of its past and trying to heal.
Alright, thank you guys for watching this video to the very end, but I have a very good news for you. If you want to learn the art of making travel videos and you want to make it your full-time job where you can do this, have fun while you're monetizing on your creativity, and you guys know, like, I'm a full-time YouTuber. It seems like it's a dream lifestyle, but it is something that a lot of people don't know how to do. So I created a course, and so far I have over 80 students that have signed up and are already going out there and telling stories and succeeding in their own little ways, and I want you to join us. So look at the description section. You are going to see a link, so just click on it so you can enroll to my academy. So I get to teach you how I make travel videos, how we make money, and some of the things you would never see unless you come behind the scenes inside of my class. Okay, thank you for watching, and for some of you that choose to click on that link, I will see you in the class.